All right, well, welcome everyone to the July 5th, 2022 SIG Node meeting. We have a few items on today's agenda, but lighter attendance than usual, probably given the US holiday weekend. The first item on the agenda I had raised, and this is just a call for feedback from those who want to give suggestions. And I want to be able to close on this week, which is we've been trying to normalize our criteria for reviewer and approver status within the SIG as we evaluate past, present, and potentially future requests. And so if you have a keen interest, which I hope many of you do, on increasing your scope in the SIG, please take a look at the document and give feedback. The existing document is my fault for being slow to get posted, but it had been under review by many of the existing tech leagues in the core SIG and the CI sub-project for the last few months. So, but I'm sure I'm speaking on everyone that we'd love feedback on tweaks and modifications. So if folks could give their feedback by end of this week, I'd like to get updates and then merge. So we're in a good spot for the rest of the year. Any questions or thoughts on that from folks who may have had a chance to look at? Otherwise, we can move on to the next topic. And Mernal, if you'd be kind enough to take over the lead.
Yeah. Sure. So the next topic is in-place pod vertical scaling by Vinay. Is Vinay on the call? No, he doesn't seem to be, but I left a comment on the changes that may be needed on the runtime side. So I took a look at Runc along with Kerr, and we left some guidance. Basically, I think on the systemd side, we don't have control over the order in which memory and CPU are written, while for the other drivers we do. So the suggestion is to call Runc directly twice for now. That's the best we can do. And I think Vinay responded that it makes sense to him, and there are some comments from folks on the scheduling side as well. So I think the review seems to be moving along.
Are you saying the caller should, the kubelet should call twice?
No, like cryo and containerd will have to call twice.
Okay, interesting. All right, well, that makes sense given that we can't control.
Yeah, I mean, we'll follow up with systemd and see if systemd can follow the same order, then we can bundle the changes together. Like the rest of the drivers we control in Runc.
Okay, cool.
But yeah. All right. So the next one is Adrian. So Adrian, I know you had some follow-on response to the security question.
Yes, Derek last time brought up the security discussion, and after a bit thinking about it, I think I remember we discussed this, that we want to leave it for alpha as it is, and for beta we want to find out if there's a way to provide additional authorization for kubelet API endpoints. I think this was the conclusion we came to. I don't know if you remember, Derek, that we talked about this a long time ago, but I think that was the point, that for alpha we might leave it as it is, and if we move it to beta, we need to look and how to find a way, if necessary, to add additional authorization to it. There was a comment from Mike that maybe we need to run it on another port for certain services. But at this point, I'm not sure if there's anything in the kubelet at this point which requires additional authorization.
Okay, thanks for the history on that. I had forgotten where we were, so I think it's fine to defer the auth stuff until beta. So I will take a look at the PR as well, but also trust Mernal and others are fine to merge if they're fine with it. So thanks, Adrian, for the follow-up.
Yeah, also, when you mentioned it last week, I wasn't aware of it, but then I looked through the CAP and found the comments we had from a couple of months ago. But yeah, it's easy to forget.
Yeah, I think it makes sense to me for now. I'll make another pass as well. I left some minor comments, but
Yeah, okay, thank you.
yeah. All right. Next up, Swati, follow up from last week's node resource topology API
Hi.
topic.
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up on this. So I had a chance to talk to the Kubernetes release engineering team, and it was actually earlier today. And their feedback and input was that we can essentially follow the normal GitHub workflow and gather review from SIG Node itself. I mentioned to them that this particular repo would be under SIG Node. So just want to kind of let you know that my action item is kind of dealt with, and if there's any input, please let me know, and the PRs are open for review if, of course, it's okay to proceed in this direction.
Yes,
Like,
but it's a,
yeah,
I don't remember any objections to proceeding as originally planned that came up since the meeting last week. So
Okay.
I think given you did your due diligence, I think we should just go forward. And thanks again for following up on that.
Thank you. Thanks, Jared.
Awesome. Next up is Deep, enhanced pod initialize condition. Deep, are you around?
Hey, yeah. So this is a quick follow-up on one of the final comments on the CAP that quite a few of you all reviewed. So this is around the pod has network condition, and that CAP was approved in the final week by Dawn. But she had one comment about like potentially looking into like changing the meaning, or not the meaning, but where the initialized condition is applied for pods that have no init containers today. So that's done like super early, like before anything in the pod sandbox and stuff gets created, right? So that seems a little like weird, and we did describe this in the original CAP for pod has network. So to address Dawn's comment, I was wondering, like I was thinking of basically starting up a new CAP, because that seems like a different problem than the original one that's being solved by pod has network. Would there be any major concerns around this change in behavior of this existing condition? And should I start off a new CAP to kind of discuss that separately in 1.25 while we make progress on the pod has network? Or would there be any other ways of approaching that comment?
Hey, Deep, since I had looked at this earlier and I was just catching up on Don's comment here, I think the way it's written, like we can't necessarily assume any specific, like the way the condition is defined right now, it just means I have an IP, right? So if we change the ordering at which the IP appears, or the ordering that the conditions toggle, I don't think it actually changes the meaning of the CAP, right? So in that spirit, like I wouldn't feel like you should be pressured to do anything additional than what you've already been graciously signing up to do with this CAP. And so if others think there's value on applying ordering to the conditions, that would be cool. But I don't feel like we lose or gain anything without the ordering, if that makes sense, because really we just want to know, do you have a network or not? And that was what I thought you had wanted to know with the sandbox. Yeah.
Okay, that sounds great. Perfect. Thanks a lot for the guidance. Thanks.
Right.
That's all I had.
Okay. So there is a new topic from Natalie. Natalie, are you on the call?
Yes, I am. Hi, thanks. Hi, everyone. My name is Natalie Latko. I'm one of the co-chairs for SIG Docs, and I thought I'd come over and add something to the agenda here regarding reviewers for docs reviews. We've recently had a few reviews needed for SIG Node that have kind of been open for quite some time, and I wanted to come and discuss with folks what we thought were reasonable kind of timelines to hold reviews to before we can kind of push contributions to maybe becoming closed or reopened or so on. the Slack code that I've just linked to, I can see Danielle specifically responded with the certain alias that we've been using for reviewers is actually likely not active. So I just want to kind of come here and bring some kind of, let's say, shine a light on us needing to get some kind of reviewer help from SIG Node with a few PRs and how we can kind of move forward with, you know, possible realistic timelines for reviews in future.
Hey, Natalie. So I think you saw that this is a good week to raise this topic, given that we're trying to close on growth in the other areas. I think probably your topic calls out a gap in my existing doc that I posted, which was the importance of the project website review as a part of review or approval. So I'll look to make updates on that this week. But it looks like from the PR, there's 8 things. So I'm assuming a set of us can probably get through this in the next week or so. And then probably when we have a bigger audience next week, we can try to get an updated alias. I would think anyone who's an existing TL in the SIG or in the ED project should be in an alias that can review any of these topics, but maybe we can get a broader list than that, but that would be my first guess.
Yeah, that sounds great. We're definitely just looking for having if the alias is something that we want to kind of keep going with, great. Just some kind of alignment on how do we contact folks in the SIG to get a tech review on certain docs that are kind of being updated and changed and added to. And what to your SIG in particular would be a reasonable time frame to expect reviews, just so that we, as context for everyone in the room here, we in SIG Docs get a lot of PRs coming in, and we try and do what we call PR wrangling each week, where we have someone kind of on shift that is pushing contributions kind of through the pipeline, not only in the English language, but also in different localizations. And we try and keep our PR numbers at around 100 to 150, and that can kind of be tough. So this is part of the reason of us trying to kind of always push contributions through, and we just want to make sure we're working with SIGs to what their expectations are and what they're capable of too.
Yeah. So one thing, Sergey, who isn't here today, but he maybe a few others have done this, is traditionally when Sergey is here, we have a report on like where we are with respect to incoming PRs and outgoing PRs, but we haven't been covering the website project repo. So I feel like Sergey could probably update his report out with that. And so we could get some visibility on the same topic that you're talking about wrangling. So yeah, I'm sure we'll just catch up with Sergey and the broader group when they're around next week. For timeliness, though, what are you seeing with other SIGs? Is this a challenge you have with other SIGs, or are we just the bad SIG here? And I apologize.
Definitely not the bad SIG. It ebbs and flows, right? It also depends on the kinds of just availability and also number of reviewers. We ourselves are also trying to actually up our reviewer count much the same as you are, which is also really great, like to see the doc as well and gotten some inspiration there. I would say like up to a month or two, like let's say a couple of months is not that unusual. Unfortunately, in your case with the list that we've given, we've got some stuff that's like 6 months and beyond in terms of waiting for a review, which is kind of why we're trying to mutually help each other out, basically. But it really is ebbs and flows. We don't mind waiting if SIGs need the time as well. But I also thought coming to the meeting and chatting to folks rather than us just constantly maybe posting in the channel might be a nicer way to approach stuff. And I'm also really willing to work on if you wanted to add to your existing document, as you mentioned, like this idea of also reviewing docs changes to the KH documentation. I'm happy to help out on what SIG Docs kind of does in terms of our timeframes or our general kind of expectations, so that you've got an idea. Feel free to tag me in the doc if you want me to review anything.
Yeah. So if you scroll down this document, look on June 14th. That's probably the last day we run a recent report. You'll see that typically we advertise just how are we doing with incoming and outgoing and that type of thing. And I just don't think the query covers the repo that you're identifying. And so
right.
we'll try to break it out, but I think that's good feedback, and we'll try to do better here. So thanks for calling attention to this.
Hey, no problem. We always just trying to do better, so really appreciate it, and thanks for letting me come and speak to this today, for sure.
Yeah, we also have this PR review board. If we can get it there, I think that's where I look most of the time to figure out what to review and approve. So maybe that may be another way to get more visibility on these PRs.
Thanks, everyone.
All right. So that was the last topic. Do folks have any other topics they want to discuss today?
Are we planning for the internal freeze next week, the soft freeze?
We should try to stick to it. So if folks can keep reviewing stuff and keep like poking stuff for reviews, if you need reviews on anything, like make sure you have the right folks engaged so we can try and hit the soft freeze.
Sounds good. So 12.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks.
Right. I guess we are done. So thanks for joining, everyone. See you all next week.
Thanks.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you.